They're off. So here we go in the Juddmonte Dancing Brave Condition Stakes, and on the outside in the blue colours, Sakhee well to the fore early on. They're going a pretty steady pace, which is understandable on this sort of ground. In second place is Silent Night, pulling quite hard on the inside in the white colours. That's the favourite Michel Marieshi, who's blinkered for the first time. Towards the outside in the Dancing Brave colours of owner Khaled Abdullah is Unaware, and the back marker at this early stage is Galleon Beach. Only about 4 lengths between the quintet as they swing right-handed out of the back straight with 6 furlongs left to run. And the favourite blinkers on for the first time. Michel Marieshi leads. On the outside in the blue and white, Sakhee is second. Making ground to go third on the inside is Galleon Beach. Between the two is Silent Night, and that means the back marker at this stage is Unaware. Sticking towards the outside, looking for the better ground, coming towards the halfway stage in this Juddmonte Dancing Brave Condition Stakes. And Seb Sanders, who rode the first winner here on Chiquita this afternoon, he leads into the home straight on Michel Marieshi. In second place we have Sakhee. Making ground on the far side is Galleon Beach. Switch towards the stand side is Unaware. Silent Night just beginning to struggle at this stage. Coming down now towards the last 2.5 furlongs. In the white colours, the favourite Michel Marieshi. Look at Unaware this side, and in the blue colours, Sakhee. These three are stride for stride. Here comes Simon Widd with Galleon Beach, looking for the better ground this side, but is beginning to labour. Coming up the hill, a furlong left to run. And in the blue and white, Sakhee and Gary Carter kick and go for home. Michel Marieshi fights back on the far side. Unaware toiling back in third. It could be another for Sheikh Hamdan and John Dunlop. Sakhee now beginning to stretch clear and going away from Michel Marieshi. Staying on in third is Galleon Beach, but Sakhee is going to win and win nicely. Michel Marieshi is second. Staying on to be third was Galleon Beach. Unaware was fourth, and a long gap then to Silent Night.
The blue jacket is the first to go on. He's in the Derby. The white-faced pawnbroker on the outside of Going Global, another Derby entry. And then back to Zaphonic Song, Monte Carlo, and finally the filly Whitefoot, who's a possibility for the Vodafone Oaks. They continue down the back straight at a very sensible gallop here, not expecting any records in these conditions. And it's Sakhee, who made most of the running when winning here over a mile as a 2-year-old in soft ground. Leads by a length and a half to Going Global with Pawnbroker, the recent Newmarket winner on the outside, got a big white face. Then back on the inside is the Phonic Song of Monte Carlo right, and the dark cap, and finally Whitefoot at the rear. Nearing the end of the back straight, and it's Sakhee and Richard Hills continuing to make the running. Pawnbroker poised on the outside, Going Global in the orange, locked in on the fence. Then Monte Carlo's the Phonic Song and Whitefoot as they prepare to swing right-handed now out of the back straight, a sweeping bend. This a possible stepping stone to classic glory. Several Derby winners have run in or even won this trial in the past. Sakhee from Pawnbroker by 3/4 of a length separating the front two. Going Global in third, then Monte Carlo. Next, just niggled along is the Phonic Song, and finally Whitefoot. Pawnbroker went off the 6-4 favourite. He was drifting. There was more money for Sakhee into 11-4, and it's Sakhee just the leader from Pawnbroker as they run down the straight. Then Going Global is bustled along on the inside. Monte Carlo, Whitefoot taking off out wide, but the leader's quickening all the way. Sakhee. Pawnbroker is now being driven quite hard in second vigorously to chase this leader. Then Going Global, Whitefoot, Zaphonic Song and Monte Carlo. It's Sakhee. Pawnbroker now getting to grips though with the leader, or is he? Because Sakhee finds a bit extra again as they run to the final furlong. It's Sakhee and Pawnbroker. They're pulling away like two good colts. It's Sakhee by a half length to Pawnbroker, who just hangs in slightly. Sakhee very resolute in front from Pawnbroker, who's kept going in second but can't get to the leader. Sakhee wins the Thresher Classic trial. Pawnbroker second. Then back in third was Going Global from Whitefoot. Zaphonic Song and Monte Carlo was last in. They break out then for the JWE Telecom Dante Stakes, trial for the Vodafone Derby. Sakhee is sent on the outside of Shamrock City through the first furlong. These two vying for the advantage. Best of the best in the blue of Godolphin on the outside then of Royal Kingdom, and sitting last of the 5 is Pawnbroker. Change of tactics today for Shamrock City, who bowls along in front from Sakhee in second. Then Royal Kingdom on the inside of Best of the Best, taking a strong tug And just last of the 5 remains Richard Quinn aboard Pawnbroker. They cover the first 2.5 furlongs then, at what looks to be a fairly good pace. We'll have to get a time on that in a moment. Shamrock City in front, 32.83 for the first 2.5 furlongs. That's quick, and it's Shamrock City that takes the pace to them and leads by 2.5 to 3 lengths to Sakhee in second, and beginning just to spread them out a little bit. They're followed in third by Best of the Best, then Royal Kingdom, one from last, and Pawnbroker in last place. He's a good 8 lengths off this leader, Shamrock City, as they continue on the long left-hand turn back towards the home straight. 56.21 for the first 4.5 furlongs. It's getting quicker all the time, so Shamrock City may have gone off a bit too quick. Sakhee turns for home in second position. Best of the Best is third, then Royal Kingdom. Pawnbroker, who's laid off this early pace, is now beginning to pick up as they enter the final half mile, and still Shamrock City, this hare the one to catch, but Sakhee has a very willing attitude and is beginning to bear down on the leader. Best of the Best back in third, then Pawnbroker with the big white face. Royal Kingdom looks a bit disappointing. He can't go on. Shamrock City and Sakhee. Sakhee getting to Shamrock City now. Pawnbroker and Best of the Best trying to get on terms. Sakhee just in front, but here's Pawnbroker, who laid right off the pace early. He's coming home very strongly now. Sakhee and Pawnbroker, first and second at Sandown. Best of the Best and Shamrock City are both rallying. Sakhee's a very tough nut. He shifts right. Pawnbroker can't get past him. Sakhee, he's too game, too determined, and wins the Dante. Close to second, Pawnbroker on the outside of Best of the Best and Shamrock City. They're a long way clear of Royal Kingdom. Sakhee, the 5-2 joint favourite.
I don't think he's surprised one so much, but he's confirmed what one hoped, but they were just hopes really at the start of the season. You know, he wasn't very highly tested as a 2-year-old. We had planned to run him in the Racing Post Trophy at the end, but it was very, very wet, and we thought it might just be the wrong thing to give him a hard race in very soft ground. So, although he won his 2 out of his 3, and was a lovely-looking horse, and a beautifully bred horse, it was hopes rather than, you know, one felt that he was the class to be a Derby contender.
And do you feel he will act on the track?
You never know. You never know. He's never been down a hill. He did. He ran Leicester first time, didn't he, I think? Or was it Nottingham? No, Leicester. So he has gone down a bit of a hill, but not to compare with Tatton Corner.
Another big question always with the Derby is the distance. Stamina is so important. He looks as though he'll stay, but he's not sure, not particularly bred to, is he?
No, his sire, Barry, you remember, you know, was a top miner on the St James's Palace and the Queen Elizabeth. But we did try him in the Champion, and he didn't seem to get the mile and a quarter in the Champion Stakes. But it was the end of the year. Maybe he'd gone over the top slightly, I don't know. But you couldn't say that he's a real stamina influence, I don't think. And of course he's a young stallion, his first crop of 3-year-olds, so we have no evidence really whether his progeny will stay. But the dam of this horse stayed very well indeed. She won the Ribblesdale at Ascot, and was bred to really stay too.
Does it give you particular pleasure, the fact that you have trained both the father and the mother?
Yeah, great. It's lovely. I mean, it doesn't tell me how to train this horse any better, I don't think, but it's always fascinating to remember the fathers and remember the mothers and so on.
Now here we are, we're going into another Derby. You've won it twice, but you're on a little bit of a frustrating run. Silver Patriarch just missed out a few years ago, and then Lucido was an expensive failure last year.
He was. He was a big disappointment. You know, he won the Lingfield Derby trial, and he beat what subsequently proved to be both the winner and the second in the Derby. But he hurt himself, unfortunately, at Epsom, but has come back, thank God.
So how do you feel going into this Derby? Are you hopeful of a good run, or do you think there's a realistic winning chance?
I think if you're hopeful of a good run, you've got a winning chance.
Gates fly back, they're racing. Brosh looks anxious to be positive on the inside. Sakhee is up with the pace too. The nose bandit King's Clear pulled hard to post and is pulling hard in the race. Barathea Guest is dropped out through the early stages. It's uphill for the first 5 furlongs. King's Clear is running away, probably too fresh. Sakhee second. Best of the Best has a good position in third, then Well-Being, followed by Aristotle, who's close up with also Saint Expedie. Towards the inside of these is Brosh, still chased by Sindar, Beat Hollow, and then Hatharana. Towards the rear early is Going Global, Ziz and Inchlonagan, Krakow and Barathea Guest is the back marker as they run towards the mile pole. And King's Clear wide on the course has gone very fast early. Sakhee in the blue and white jacket, best of the best towards the inside in the all blue. In the apricot, Well-Being is well poised. Aristotle on the extreme right. Mick Cannan has a good position on the rail. Close up with these is Beat Hollow, big white face. 52.97 for the first half mile. It's very quick indeed. King's Clear went off too quick, and those at the back may be doing the wise thing at this stage. Barathea Guest still sitting one from last, and Inchlonagan under wily old Pat Edry is last of all. They begin the run downhill then in the 2000 Vodafone Derby, and Sakhee and Best of the Best running first and second. Well-Being is close with these. These are followed by Sindar with a very good position. Just in behind them is Beat Hollow. Aristotle right there on the inside. Back in the field then to Sakhee.Extended and Brosh, and then Going Global from Ziz, and King's Clear has already run his race. They run round Tatnam Corner with just under a half mile left to cover, and it's Best of the Best on the inside. Chris McCarran, the American jockey. Sakhee alongside. Well-Being is next, then Sindar. Aristotle driven hard. Hatharana, Beat Hollow with the big white face trying to get out and hasn't got much racing room. Sakhee makes the long run for home. It's Sakhee from Sindar in second. Best of the Best fading. Beat Hollow in the pink cap trying to come with a run. Then Well-Being. Can Sakhee hold them off? Sindar laying down a strong challenge. The Irishman. Beat Hollow the far rail. It's Sakhee reeled in by Sindar, and Sindar's stamina comes to the fore from Sakhee. It's Sindar and Johnny Murta for Ireland. Sindar wins the Vodafone Derby. Sakhee run out of it in second. Beat Hollow back in third, then Best of the Best, followed home by Well-Being and Hatharana, then Sakhee.Extended and Barathea Guest. Behind these was Ziz and Aristotle, then Inchlonagan, Brosh and Krakow and Going Global, and King's Clear, who was a nutcase today, finished last of all. Sindar, the winner of the Vodafone Derby Stakes for trainer John Ox. The colours of His Highness the Aga Khan, a fourth Derby success, following Shergar, Sharastani and Kayasi. Arrow heads them at 20-1 Seb Sanders. Fantastic Light, 11-2 John Reed. Gold Academy, a 33-1 chance, Dane O'Neill. Kalanisi for Pat Edry at 7-2. Then Shiva and Richard Quinn, 7-2. Giants Causeway, 9-1 under 53-year-old George Duffield. Sakhee, 2-1 favourite, Richard Hills. And the likely front runner here, Pacemaker, Sun Charm, visored for the first time, Darragh O'Donoghue in the saddle. And you can have 150-1 if you like him.
And that doesn't look like changing. Kalanisi at 7-2, Shiva at 4-1, who won the Brigadier Gerard here over the course and distance in May. Willem Toto and Carla Glow in the 80s and the 70s. Gunner B and Scottish Rifle completed that double. Not many people think that Shiva will be able to do that. Tight 11-2 Fantastic Light. Many boards are showing 5 Fantastic Light. 9-1 against Giants Causeway. 8 mainly on the rails though. Border Arrow 16-1. One firm is still going 20-1 against Border Arrow. 33-1 Gold Academy and 150-1 against the Rag. But Sakhee 7-4 trying to become the 9th Derby runner-up to come on and win the Eclipse.
Giants Causeway and Gold Academy to go. It's Gold Academy. Thralling tactical racing prospect. Test of decision making for these jockeys. Fantastic Light nearest to us. They jump out then for the Coral-Eclipse with 1.25 miles to cover. We're expecting Sun Charm to make it, but it's missed the kick in the white cap and isn't there at all in the early stages. And Sakhee is forced to make his own running from Giants Causeway, and they haven't gone off too quick. Gold Academy on the far rail, followed by Shiva. Fantastic Light out wide. Border Arrow, Kalanisi, and this pacemaker Sun Charm, so far a complete waste of time, though he's now making great strides on the outside, having completely missed the kick. They cover the first quarter mile, and Sun Charm at long last takes over the advantage from Sakhee in second. Giants Causeway is third. Fantastic Light in the first colours of Godolphin, the Godolphin blue on the outside of Shiva, who's not really settling. Gold Academy back on the fence. Kalanisi and Border Arrow is observing from last place. They near the end of the back straight then. They'll shortly be swinging right-handed. It's Dara O'Donoghue in the pacemaking role on Sun Charm. Good position for Giant's Causeway, the all dark blue in second place. Sakhee on the inside in third in the striped cap, followed by Fantastic Light and Shiva. It's 5 parked on the bench. Then follows Kalanisi, Gold Academy, and finally Border Arrow. They're about to swing right-handed then with about half a mile left to cover. And up front is Sun Charm that leads them in. Giant's Causeway poised to pounce in second place. Sakhee's back on the fence. Then Fantastic Light, Shiva without much racing room. Kalanisi, the green jacket, is picking up Gold Academy and Border Arrow. Sakhee goes on the inside of Giant's Causeway. Then Fantastic Light. He can't get out on Shiva at the moment. Kalanisi and Border Arrow staying on. They're inside the final 2. And now push comes to shove. Sakhee, he likes a battle on the rail. Giant's Causeway, the mare Shiva's coming at them, and Giant's Causeway gets past Sakhee, but can he hold off? Kalanisi on the outside, Shiva between the pair. It's Giant's Causeway. Kalanisi swooping down the outside for the Aga Khan, but Giant's Causeway fights back on the far side for George Duffield. They race head to head. Giant's Causeway and 53-year-old George Duffield has landed the Coral-Eclipse for the second time. Kalanisi just lost out. Then came Shiva and Sakhee. Fantastic Light, followed back by Gold Academy, Border Arrow, and Sun Charm was last, where we expected him to be.
The ones that go, Simon Holt.
And that leaves 8 of them then, and they're headed by Distant Music, the amount of Richard Hughes at 8-1. Medician, unbeaten in 3 starts this season. Kieran Fallon on this 11-4 chance. The favourite is Sakhee, runner-up in last year's Derby, 9-4 favourite for Frankie Dettori. Black Minalouche, the Irish Guineas winner, 7-2 Michael Kinnan. Darwin, possibly the pacemaker for Black Minalouche, 150-1 Paul Scallon. Grandera at 7-1 Michael Hills. Richard Quinn looking for a big double on Foodbroker Fancy at 33-1. And then Mike Foodbroker Fancy a filly, Time Away, Pat Edry's mount at 16-1.
Well, let's begin looking through these with Distant Music, who's been a good horse, winner of the Dewhurst as a 2-year-old, running plenty of good races. Probably his best performance, though, was when he was second, or third rather, to Kalanisi in the Champions Stakes. 1.25 miles, good trip for him.
And here's Medician. He's unbeaten so far this year in 3 starts. He's winning twice over a mile and being equally as effective over 1.25 miles when winning the Eclipse on his last start. Connections look ideal and still the one they will have to beat.
Well, Sakhee, who came back to the racetrack at Newbury last month after nearly more than a year off the track. He'd injured a knee when 4th in the Eclipse. He beat ordinary rivals comfortably enough, but he's a lot more to do here and still got to prove that he has last year's ability that saw him finish second in the Derby.
Black Minalouche, one of 3 Aidan O'Brien runners, already the winner of a couple of Group 1s, the Irish Guineas and the St James Palace Stakes. He's a horse who needs holding up. He's drawn in stall 1, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he'll take this as well.
And here's Darwin. Well, he's a beautifully bred son of Dane Hill, but he hasn't lived up to his pedigree. But however, his role here is obviously the likely pacemaker for his stable companion, Black Minalouche.
Grandera, ridden by Michael Hills for James Fanshawe, 15-2 shot, but runner-up in the Eclipse, 3rd in the French Derby on his last 2 starts. A horse with a decent cruising speed and a kick, and he's certainly not out of this, a major player this afternoon.
A couple of fillies in this race. Here's the first of them, Foodbroker Fancy. We haven't seen her since she ran in the Oaks at Epsom. She was disappointing then, didn't look as though she handled the course, but she's got plenty of useful form. She's got to improve a bit, though, to take a hand in the finish here, but she looks as well as anything.
And here's my pick of the paddock, this is Time Away. She's a really useful daughter of Darshan. She showed her class when winning over course and distance back in May in the Musidora. Tried over a mile and a half, reportedly failed to stay. However, needs to step up here to figure in the placings.
Black Minalouche allowed to parade early. Just a little recalcitrant. Aidan O'Brien attending his bride. Look, Walter, this is a horse that pulls very hard. He's got to settle, and that's why presumably he's going early.
Yeah, you know, it's important how they set him off quietly here, and this is actually a crucial stage. And Aidan's Michael's got him now, and
he's an amazing horse, isn't he? You think how many runs he's had in top-class company. If you looked at him walk around the paddock, you'd say he was having his first run of the year and that he was going to need it. Must have
carries a lot of condition.
Wonderful constitution.
That's you fully up to date from the paddock gurus. Let's take a look at the 8, trying to be great. Distant Music, a brilliant 2-year-old. He's disappointed since, but today's trip and ground should be right up his street. Medician going for his 3rd Group 1 win this season. He's much improved, and he can both battle and quicken. Sakhee, the one they're making favourite, won the Dante over course and distance, 2nd in Sindar's Derby, reported well primed for this by the Godolphin team. And Black Minalouche, the Irish 2000 winner. This is Darwin, the pacemaker. Sorry for Black Minalouche. It's hard to see him evolving into a Group 1 horse. And here we have Grandera, unlucky in the French Derby, and pretty close to Medician on Eclipse form, just half a length to fine. Foo broke a fancy. There's plenty to find with the best of these, and genuine though she is, hard to fancy here. Time away, won the Musidora here in May. These colours were successful in this race with Master Willie way back in 1980. There is Black Minalouche, the Irish 2000 Guineas winner. Don't wrap him in cotton wool. This is his 8th run of the season. They'll play him fast and late.
Fascinating, this Black Minalouche. Now, 1 or 2 bookmakers are still going 4-1 Black Minalouche. Generally, it's 7-2. But look at Ladbrokes here. The magic sign. Mike Dillon, they know what's going on with the Irish horses. Ladbrokes ducking Black Minalouche. They're going only 3-1 against it. So what do Ladbrokes know? Why are they going only 3-1? It's 2-1 Sakhee, as you can see, with 11-4 Medician. 7-2 generally Black Minalouche, with 7-1 and 15-2 coming up Grandera. 9-1 a very weak Distant Music, and it's then any price the rest 16-1 at the bottom. But then if you're looking for that Medician, it's gone to a very big price now, 11-4. 15 Coral-Eclipse winners in 29 runnings of the Juddmonte International have come on to run here on the Knives Mire. 5 have won and 7 have been placed. Medician 11-4. I've heard of 1 or 2 punters hoping to get 3-1. Medician, can they get it when Ladbrokes going 3-1 Black Minalouche?
12 months ago, it was the Eclipse Stakes that proved the template for the Juddmonte International, and that looks so it could be the case again. 4 of those were in action that day. Let's check it out.
As the leaders begin to fold in front, Broche strides shortening. Bark takes over from Grandera. Medician to Boog on the outside. Black Minalouche trying to stay on as well inside the 2. It's Bark challenged by Grandera. Medician under the whip. Black Minalouche staying on a bit, so is Taboo, but they've still got to find more as they run down towards the final furlong. Grandera on the outside of Bark. These 2 battle away. Now Medician begins to reel them back with Black Minalouche and Taboo well inside the final furlong. Grandera does. Medician thrusting down the near side. Medician got up to win it.
Well, Medician got the verdict that day. Grandera lost nothing in defeat. It was pretty close. And we asked Michael Hills what chance of reversing that fall.
Well, James has given him a good rest between races, and his work is very good. He's an improving 3-year-old. He won't beat very far, so I think he's got a very good chance.
And tactics of the race today, there's only Darwin that looks likely to force it.
Well, Sakhee is a front runner, so you know, he could be there, and we'll see what happens after that. I mean, the pace is obviously going to be important. A lot come off the pace, but Sakhee will probably be everybody's main target.
Well, with me now is Sakhee's trainer, Saeed bin Sarur. This horse is now the red-hot favourite. Frankie's on board. What are your thoughts now with the race a couple of minutes away?
Well, the horse, he's doing really very good, and he's trained really great. After the last race when he ran Newbury, he was really come back after the race very good, and he's ready for today.
I just talked to John Dunlop, who trained him last year, and he thinks he looks magnificent. Of course, he sent him out to win the Dante here last year. Has this knee fully recovered, the operation on it?
Yes, you know, he's good now. Take, you know, time after that, you know, a little bit sometimes lame. But thank God, before we ran him in Newbury, he was sound, and after that he came back very good. For that, you know, we decided to run him, you know, today.
How impressive was his final gallop last week?
He was very good. You know, Richard has also, he rode him, and he was happy with him. Frankie, he rode him before, also he have, you know, the horse very well. The horse is doing really good, trained good, looking good, you know, he's a perfect.
How confident are you of winning today?
Well, it is, you know, a difficult race. It's an open race at the same time, but the horse, you have everything, I mean, everything right for him, the distance, the ground, you know, and they have a good chance.
Lovely. We look forward to seeing what happens. Thank you, Saeed.
Thank you, sir.
Well, the big crowd has really steamed into Sakhee. 15-8 favourite, last call there. And they've really sided with Frankie and the Godolphin team against a horse, Medician, who's done absolutely nothing wrong. Real sense of anticipation, as ever, before the Juddmonte International. A race rapidly built itself a rich tradition. All the vantage points taken around the course. And the last exchanges going down in the betting ring. The big money coming in. Interesting that Ladbrokes were going a little bit short. Black Minalouche, Mac pointed out they had their card pretty well marked on the Aidan O'Brien front. And the serried ranks of punters along the rail and the enclosures behind, heaving with folk anticipating top-class Group 1 action. And there are the horses down at the start, a mile and a quarter and just a bit, and the action to unfold over the next few minutes for a first prize of £261,000.
Black Minalouche, who has the Monty Roberts rug, and appears to be a few toys thrown out of the pram by the team organising the parade, because Michael went early on this horse. But okay, parades in general should be adhered to, but you get difficult horses, and for punters, whether they're at the races or sitting at home, I'm sure they'd much rather it went early and with no fuss to the start than got all upset and possibly even upset the other horses. He's clearly a bit quirky about the stalls. He pulls very hard early on, and Michael got him there nice and early, and hopefully he'll be relaxed and show his form.
Yeah, the other thing is when they get on edge like that, they can so easily pull a plate off, and then before you know it, the race is delayed by 6 or 7 minutes, and that certainly does none of the other runners any good at all.
Walter, I know you're quite concerned about the tactics for Medician here, because you don't think the draw's ideal, do you?
No, I don't. You know, I know there's only 9 runners, but believe you me, it's not. It's a very short way to the first bend, and I always felt being drawn really low here, you could get organised quicker. And you know, I know how Sir Michael thinks, and he won't have been. How would you say? He wouldn't be overjoyed with the 8 draw when he'd have first seen it. Whereas Black Minalouche, you know, anyone who's backed him, he's going to be covered up and buried, and don't expect him to be produced until the end. And he's in the box.
He will need just to get a run, though, won't he? You know, you'll be sitting with your fingers crossed. Anyway, they're loaded up fairly quickly. Food Broker, Fancy Time Away, the 2 fillies pluses, plus Grandira, Sakhee and Black Minalouche. But they're drifting, Distant Music and Medician. They're all in. Let's join Simon.
And away they go then for the Group 1 Juddmonte International. And as they break out of the gate, Darwin is pushed along to try and make the pace. Sakhee is prominent as well. And Distant Music is right on the sharp end as well, who's pulling rather hard, Distant Music, on the outside of Darwin as they blaze through the first furlong or so. Sakhee in third in the Godolphin blue, Time Away taking a fierce grip in fourth on the inside. Then Grandira in the green sleeve jacket, Black Minalouche on the inside, Medician out wider in the red with the blue cap, and Food Broker Fancy looks on from last place, covering the first 2.5 furlongs or so. and Darwin by 3 lengths at 31.82 for the first 2.5 furlongs. It's very quick indeed, particularly into the headwind, and Darwin has got them quite well strung out. In second is Distant Music, who seems to be doing too much. Then in third is Sakhee as they make the long left-hander. Time Away is in 4th place, followed by Grandera on the outside of that filly. Black Minalouche is next from Medician, and Food Broker Fancy continues to be last of the 8. The first half mile in 56.79. It's a slowing pace after that very quick first 2.5 as they make the turn left-handed for home, and it's still the Coolmore pace setter Darwin that makes the way to Sakhee on the outside of Distant Music, second and third. They are chased by Time Away and then Grandera, Black Minalouche, Medician. Fallon is hard at work on Medician in the red jacket, no response yet. Then Food Broker Fancy. Meanwhile, last year's Derby runner-up Sakhee stakes a pretty big claim here, and it's Sakhee that kicks on under Frankie Dettori, and he's kicking away from Distant Music. Grandera in third, then Black Minalouche finally picking up Medician, but it looks all too late as they run down to the final furlong because Sakhee has a 6-length lead here, and Sakhee is going to demolish them. Grandera back in second, then Medician struggling on for a minor placing, but Sakhee is right back to his best here and is trotting home in the Juddmonte International. Sakhee, a decisive runaway winner. Grandera in second, Medician in third, then Black Minalouche and Distant Music, followed by Fruit Broker Fancy and Time Away, and well beat in the end. Tailing off was Darwin. A mightily impressive win here by Sakhee, the 7-4 favourite. Quite a piece of training. This horse has had his problems. Knee surgery after a slightly disappointing run in the Eclipse last season. Then had a year off before making a winning reappearance at Newbury. And he's bounced right back to his very best today to win this Group 1, doing handsprings in the Godolphin Blue. Saeed bin Sarur, victorious in this race twice in the mid-90s with Halling, and Sakhee looked every bit as good as that champion today. Frankie Dettori had the race won a long way from home. Sakhee, who was nearly the best of his generation last season, chased home Sindar in the Derby, and in this generation clash, the older horses definitely had the call.
Sakhee, 11-4 chance with Coral this morning, 5-2 with Victor Chandler. The tote knew they only went 15-8, and the return was 7-4 favourite. That's Sakhee, a disappointing return. I thought enough bookmakers were going 15-8. That ought to have been the return, but it was sent in at 7-4. Wins by 7 lengths. 7 lengths, Sakhee wins 7 lengths and a length. Grandera is second at 7-1 with Medician. Very weak in the betting. That was ominous, and it ran like it third at 3-1. And Sakhee, the 12th favourite in 30 runnings to win it. Giant's Causeway last year, and in the 90s, Royal Anthem and Halling twice. And his sire, that Bari, was beaten by Halling in 95. Gains revenge for them with Sakhee at 7-4. No bounce factor. Winning by 7 lengths. The bounce, no impression.
Well, that looked fantastic from down here. What was it like up there?
I didn't hear nothing, so I thought, well, I must be clear. And I mean, he's a special horse. The second in the Derby is a very good horse in his own right, and Saeed done a great job to be patient with him and wait for the right race, and he came good.
That was an outstanding effort, 7 lengths.
Great. Fantastic.
This is going to be the biggest jump of all time, I think. This could be interesting.
Sakhee's win here today by 7 lengths, reminiscent of an equally impressive success by Royal Anthem in this race 2 years ago. Royal Anthem for the Thoroughbred Corporation, winning by 8 lengths that day in this same race.
Well, it's kisses all round, and Frankie delighted, but he was the first to pay tribute to the team behind this horse, because He suffered quite a nasty injury in the Eclipse last year. A year's a long time off to get a horse back. John, you pointed to his nostrils.
Yeah, I've
Why?
never seen a horse with a sort of pigmentation like that on the inside of its nostril.
But you always make a point that horses with big nostrils are usually good ones.
Well, they usually go a bit. This fella can certainly do that, and really special performance that. Just like Persian Punch, got into a good position early in the straight. A strong wind is a job to make up ground when it's blowing hard in your face. And Water, this horse was, I mean, he was a wonderful 3-year-old, and if you'd say to yourself, well, maybe he wasn't quite right when he ran in the Eclipse, which was the last time he ran last season, he was 4th, then as Frankie said, they've been really patient with him, but this was a sparkling performance.
Absolutely sparkling. I mean, I never expected this. I couldn't have predicted this, and this really puts on a mouth-watering affair. If this puts him in the picture with Fantastic Light and Galileo, it really does.
I had him all struggling at this point, just kept lengthening his stride all the way up the straight, and the further he went, the easier he was going. He's got the type of action, he'll run on any type of surface, as he'd go on the dirt, he'd go on firm, or when it's got plenty of cut in it. Just a thoroughly nice individual, and certainly one who's going to add to our enjoyment in the closing months of the season.
Some very happy scenes in the York Unsaddling enclosure after that spectacular performance by Sakhee, and nobody has been more patient with this horse than the owner breeder Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum. So a great day for you.
Absolutely.
And you bred him?
Yes.
And you've waited a long time for him to come back from injury. Your team have done very well for you.
Absolutely. He got a chip without we know it in the Derby. And he ran after the Derby, and the jockey, Richard Hill, said the horse is not right. And here they couldn't find anything. So we decided to take him to Dubai. We took him to Dubai, and the operator, they find the chip, 2 chips actually, in the knee, behind. And they done for him the operation. He came back to England here, and in the it was a little bit horse he has got little bit heavy horse, and the horse they take time because the hard ground, and they done tremendous job, and we got the ground, and he wasn't ready at all, but the only way to run him in Newbury enlisted,
yes,
and he ran, and that run put him more forward.
But you must have been thrilled with the way he did it here, because that was one of the great performances in this race.
Actually, I didn't expect that, actually. The truth, I mean, the horse is still a little bit big, but he was second in the Derby, And
to a very good Derby winner.
Very good Derby winner, absolutely.
And where would you like to go with him now?
Well, his aim actually is, I don't know where Sheikh Mohammed is going to take him, but his aim is the Dubai Champion Stake.
So back to the country where he got his brilliant medical help in the first place.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the junior Sardine, very popular in York, chatting to everybody, weighs in. Have I passed? Yeah. Off we go. He's on a horse that's got a championship performance. What about his pedigree? Well, he was bred by Sheikh Hamdan's Shadwell stud. He's by Bari, who didn't stay himself in this race, but was a top quality miler for John Dunlop, out of a good mare that John Dunlop also trained called Thawakib, and further back it's the family of Luca Cumani's St Ledger runner-up, Celestial Storm. And let's not forget the part that the Dunlop team played in this horse. They established him and developed him, and well done to all concerned in Dubai for bringing him back.
The 80th running at the Prix de Triomphe. A mile and a half at Longchamp on the Bois de Boulogne in Paris. They jump away and they came out in a pretty good line. The slow starter was Chimes at midnight, beginning fast. Anabar Blue with Sadler's Creek, and Sakhee in a very good position on the outside, broke well. Moving up is Anzalero towards the inside. Golan is also handy up the inner as well as Sadler's Creek takes them along from Anzalero on the inside. Anabar Blue is third, then Golan and holding court, and Sakhee in about sixth place from Diamalina. They're followed next by Foreign Affairs a bit wide of Aqua Released, and then Egypt Band with Milan midfield down on the inside. High Tory is wider out. Next is Idaho Quest, and then Little Rock towards the rear. Sagacity, Honor Rafik, and Chimes at Midnight is the back marker as they go behind the Petit Bois, having covered a couple of furlongs or more, and making their way towards the furthest point away from the stands here at Longchamp is Sadler's Creek from Anzalero. Anabar Blue wide of the light blue jacketed Golan, then Sakhee in the Godolphin Blue out wide under Frankie Dettori. Just seems to be taking a pull there, he's going well. Behind these is on the inside Diamalina of holding court. Foreign Affairs in the yellow jacket hunting them up from Egypt Band, and then Aqua Release towards the inside as they begin this turn right-handed with just under 7 furlongs left to cover now, and they run back towards home, a long run towards home. Anzalero, Sadler's Creek, Anabar Blue, the French Derby winner, in third. Sakhee is 4, followed by Golan in 5th place. Then Foreign Affairs towards the outside of holding court in the grey Diamalina. High Tory is wide of Egypt Band. Next is Idaho Quest, and then Aqua Released. Towards the inside, Milan with work to do. Little Rock just in front of him, and then a gap back to Sagacity, and Honor Rafik and Chimes at Midnight is struggling in the rear. They're running on the approach to home now. They've got about 3 furlongs still to cover, and up front is Anzalero, but here's Sakhee in a beautiful position under Frankie Dettori. Sakhee coming there cantering. Further out is Foreign Affairs, then Golan on their heels in 4th place as they straighten up with 2.5 furlongs left to go, and Frankie says go on Sakhee, and Sakhee clears away from Golan in 2nd place. Foreign Affairs is 3rd, then High Tory, and they're all chasing Sakhee's shadow now with a furlong and a half left to go. It's Sakhee 4-5 lengths clear of Golan. Aqua Release comes out of the pack, then High Tory and Sagacity out wide, but entering the final furlong, Sakhee has a huge lead and is running right away, and Sakhee is superb! A brilliant win in the Arc. Sakhee the winner, Aqua Released in 2nd, close for 3rd, Sagacity on the near side of Golan, then Milan and Never Near a 5th, followed by Little Rock, and then High Tory, a gap to Egypt Band. They were followed back by Anabar Blue and Foreign Affairs and Diamalina. Honor Rafik, well beaten, holding court with Idaho Quest and Anzalero, and then Sadler's Creek, and practically pulled up was Chimes at Midnight. They said that Sakhee had been working the gallops down on Newmarket Heath. There were doubts about him getting the trip in testing going here, but he was always in a fantastic position, travelling supremely well for Frankie Dettori, who will remember this Arc weekend for many years to come. He won the Arc back in 1995 on Lamtara. Lamtara was an impressive win, but I don't think he was anywhere near as brilliant as Sakhee was today. Sakhee, who trotted up in the Juddmonte International at York back in August, a horse that had surgery on his knees during the closed season. Of course, he chased home last year's Arc winner Sindar in the Epsom Derby in the year 2000. Well, he's had his day today. Took it up early in the home straight, then his stamina was going to be tested in the searching conditions here on the Bois de Boulogne, but he stayed on relentlessly all the way to the line, and it was just a question of who would finish in the minor placings. Sakhee unbeaten in 3 starts so far this season. It's been a season remarkable for the exploits of the Aidan O'Brien team. Godolphin have been put into the shade, but not here this afternoon. Sakhee wins the Arc.
He travelled like the wrath of God. When Frankie asked him to pick up he did. He left a high-class Arc field toiling in his wake. He was sensational at York. He's been arguably even better here today. Godolphin's season redeemed triumphantly by Sakhee, the outstanding middle-distance colt in Europe. Frankie absolutely exultant, and rightly so. They've said this horse was working the house down at home. They weren't worried about him getting the trip. The ground wasn't a problem. He has annihilated his Arc field. He is the real thing. And in the year that they lost Dubai Millennium, those blue colours are triumphant at the end of the European racing season, and you can tell this man, he's going to milk the crowd. He'll let them know who's done it. What a weekend it's been for Frankie. 3 yesterday, in flying form today. Jim, you did a top 10 of Arc winners. This bloke could be knocking on the door in that, surely.
Well, you'd be hard-pressed to leave him out. I mean, it was Sakhee slaughter. It wasn't just that he ran away from them in the straight, it was the way he travelled. He was always, as the jockeys say, tomming, slang for Tom cruising. And when he asked him to pick up in the straight, as you've seen in races early today, not every horse has picked up and purchased. Gentlemen, you must have been impressed.
Well, there's a double handful of Group 1 winners in here, and he's absolutely annihilated them. And what a way to ride your 100th Group 1 winner.
Frankie Dettori and Sakhee are coming back now. I'm actually walking onto the track, and I'd love to get the initial reaction from the man who's just ridden his 100th Group 1 win, and he's done it in the best possible way. Frankie, what was that like?
Top of the world! Top of the world! We let plenty of Sakhee tonight anyway. Top of the world!
Frankie.
There'll be plenty of Sakhee, plenty of champagne as well, I'd imagine. And he rides Ascot well, but he rides this course here, Longchamp, equally as competently. Always in the right place. And Walter, I know it's easy if you've got the right horse underneath you, but even so, you've still got to just judge it to perfection.
Of course you have, and from the 15 draw, he jumped out, and he got him over in a beautiful position, and the more you kind of looked at him, and he just seemed the stronger he was getting throughout the race. And he's come into the straight, and he's taken a pull, and it was a marvellous performance. Stunning.
It'd be fascinating just to dissect this and talk over with Sheikh Mohammed and Simon Christopher and Frankie. John mentioned, Alistair mentioned Dubai Millennium, and the other good horses they run here, Daylami, who disappointed. They've obviously had others this year as well, but the way this horse won, he's as good as anything Godolphin have had.
And the Brits are ecstatic. If you could break the Paris Mutuel, they would have done it. The last show was 2.2 to 1. Frankie Dettori returning here, and it's the British cheers. They're echoing right round the stands here behind me. Terrific applause. 2.2 to 1 was the last show. The 7th time in the last 8 years the favourites won the Arc. Frankie Dettori, you're a hero, Frankie! You're a hero! What a great man he is! The 31st time the Arc's been won by the favourite, and Sakhee gives Britain its 10th win in the Arc, and all round here, punters have backed Sakhee down to 2.2 to 1. It was Barry Dennis's Bismarck. He's got skint as well, and he's cheering!
Remember, this horse was never actually an intended runner in the Arc until about 10 days ago. His target was the Champion Stakes, but he's champion of France instead, and he will get the monster of all receptions when he turns right in approximately 5 seconds.
d'un fils de Barry, d'une poulinière qui s'appelle Kawaki, un fils de Saint-Oswell.
Well, a wonderful performance and a huge compliment to last year's winner, Sindar. No doubt that this fella's improved, but just a wonderful performance. Sometimes you come to these races and there'll be half a dozen finish in a heap and you think, well, yeah, they're good horses, but this was definitely something special.
And a week ago, of course, it was Smacky rather than Sakhee for Frankie, because you have to say he messed up on his horse at Ascot, where Summoner won, but today he was in control. He was on a supercharged horse, and Walter, we talked this morning about maybe he'd have problems, but he got out smartly. He had good tactical speed, as you said on the morning line, and everything went a dream.
The race was in control from the moment after a furlong. When I first picked him up, it was totally in control, and here he's just waiting until he gets into the straight, and everything behind him is stone cold. Stone cold. There's not one horse going to threaten him, and all he had to do was pick up, and he's done that straight away. Lovely to see Golan, though. Let's not forget him. Lovely to see him perform. It was a much
he did
more
well,
encouraging.
Golan. He held his position well, didn't he, early on?
He did, and hopefully he'll stay in training. We'll see him next year. But this is what everyone's.
It's what you want to see in a championship race, one thundering away from the rest.
When you see his action there, you wonder what all the speculation's been about whether the horse would go on the soft ground. I mean, it's what he's been crying out for.
He probably could have won it 2 miles today, John, couldn't he?
The Junior Sardine, as one of his affectionate nicknames. Well, you know him really well. Do you lot actually get sick of him sort of jumping and shouting and screaming?
No, I have to say, at times what is interesting about Frankie is that he reminds me very much of Willie. When the public and everyone, we see him all like this, and which is great, and he's great fun. But I can assure you, last Saturday in the weighing room at Ascot, the bottom lip would have been on the floor, and he'd have needed picking up a little bit. But this is the big pickup for him, and it's wonderful to see. It really is.
And Ballydoyle, who've been on the winning end of so many of the matches this year with Godolphin. Godolphin, the boys in blue have come out and top this time. Jamie Spencer, who rides for both. Come on me, that's one of his favourite shouts. Everybody's favourite fruitcake.
Getting a hug from Yutaka there.
Well, with me now, Simon Crisford, manager Godolphin, and Saeed bin Sarour. Simon, this horse, you've brought him back from real problems. You've vindicated your thought that he was a real star.
Yeah, I mean, he was a real star last year. He was second in the Derby to Sindar. Sindar went on, was the undisputed champion last season. So, obviously, coming into the race today, we knew we had the best horse. We knew everything was right. It was just a question of nothing going wrong in the race. And, Frankie said to me last night, he said, this horse cannot get beaten unless I fall off it. And, we came into the race with that much confidence, although we didn't really sort of say that beforehand. But we were very, very confident, and he is a champion.
And Saeed, a great boost for you and your team.
Yes, I think this is a great result for the second time when the Arc for also with Lamtara, and like what always you have to bring a start to win the Arc. We do it after Lamtara, but there wasn't really good enough to win it. Today, I say thank God, and also thank Frank Vittori. He did a very good job with him. It was a great day and great result for us.
And Simon, this is very much what Sheikh Mohammed and his brothers are in the game for. Group 1 winners at the highest level. And at the end of the year, when they lost Dubai Millennium, a fantastic replacement in a sense.
Absolutely, because the whole purpose of Godolphin is to be competing in the big races around the world, and we've been very lucky to have 77 Group 1 winners, and we've had some great champions over the years like Delamy and Swain and Mark of Esteem and the Lamtara. The list is endless, but Sakhee is very much one of those team, and as good as all of them, and hopefully he can go on and keep racing.
A few celebrations tonight. You'll be back in England in the next 3 weeks?
No, we'll be back tonight, but we'll be celebrating on the way home.
Best of luck. Well done, Jen.
To the cheers of the crowd, and guided tour breaks alertly with Orientate. Albert the Great is gun to the lead. That's Albert the Great. Ore Chavez puts him in front, but Pat Day and Orientate are going to take the fight to him, and those two hook up in a speed duel in the first furlong here. Tiz now not far behind. He's running third in the early going. Guided Tour drops back to run along in fourth. Galileo only 5 lengths from the lead. He's fifth. The Arc winner Sakhee is sixth on the outside, and the favorite Aptitude is now running in seventh. Macho Uno bulls his way through from 8th now. Black Middlebush is 9th. Include is down toward the inside, and he's now 10th. Freedom Crest, Gander, who's well in hand, and at the back of the pack is Longshot Up Fleet Stancer. The quarter went in 23 1/5 seconds, a grueling pace here, and into the wind half of 47 seconds flat. Albert the Great grinding it out on a short lead now. Orientate couldn't stay with them. There goes Guided Tour, who splits horses decisively with 5 furlongs to go. And on the outside, the daunting presence of a horse of the year. Tis Now, and he's right there just off the pace 4th. Sakhee and Galileo right there and behind the lead. Macho Uno's in the thick of it as Aptitude begins to roll here with 3.5 furlongs to go in the Classic. And it is Albert the Great blazing the way. Tis Now looms in second. Sakhee is there on the outside. Guided Tour fights on. Galileo's under a heavy drive. He's still 6 lengths behind. Include will put his run through on the rail. Aptitude is taken wide by Gander. And the field turns for home. Here comes the Arc winner, Sakhee, and he storms to the lead. Sakhee in their lead. And Tis Now is battling on. The American Horse of the Year and the Arc winner are heads apart with a furlong to go in the Classic. On the outside, Sakhee. Tis Now fights on. Here's the wire. Desperately close. Tis Now wins it for America. Beating Sakhee right on the wire. Finishing third was Albert the Great. Macho Uno was 4th. Oh, did they deliver a thriller here at Belmont Park this afternoon. An heroic stretch drive that will go on in Breeders' Cup legend.
Tough, consistent racehorse, and he was a close runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Classic, as well as the Derby. He retired as the winner of 8 races with a staggering total of 2.2 million sterling in prize money. He's had his best year at start 2011, with Precipice prevailing in the Dubai Duty Free Stakes Group 1, followed by a classic winner